All right, here's the next excerpt of my original story. Tell me more of the tenets of your faith, your theology, that you believe led your people to endure to the bitter end, the scientist asked Matthew, as dozens of people from his enclave at Time's End were ushered through the portals by others. The compound now expanded to accommodate for them, or for their habitation. Well, surely you know all about our theology, seeing as how you can skip upon the sands of time and space as if they were nothing but a child's toy, Matthew said with a hearty laugh. Yes, sure, but it is your experience that I'm looking to understand, not rote facts and statistics. What did you see, feel? What moved you and your contemporaries to hold the flame all the way through? Sitting upon a stone-hewed chair, Matthew clasped his scepter between both his hands, resting his chin upon the top of it, in thought. The scientist sat opposite him, listening intently. Well, for starters, it is a well-understood fact that we are, all of us, utterly fallen and complete sinners. Not one is righteous, no, not one, to quote from our good book. The scientist's eyes crimped from the powerful statement. In the many hundreds of years at that point that he had swam through the rivers of time, the statement was a salient, sanguine one, for the amount of tears and blood that he had already shed from its direct experience. He then pulled his dirty green trench coat around himself, as if trying to cover a certain shame that he could not comprehend. Yes, he said quietly. How did this keep you going? How did you not give up? Matthew sighed as Jessica hollered out directions to incoming inhabitants to the compound behind him. Well, it's black and white, you see. We are utterly, completely depraved. The bottom of the barrel. No better than the shit of a cockroach on the bottom of your boot. But even so, our God loves us anyway. And he never gives up on us. There is solace in that. This last statement, he said, looking up at the rough-hewn stone ceiling of the compound. Cataclysm or not, the scientist said, as he looked afar in thought. And what, I ask, leads the eternal legacy to keep pressing forward? Doesn't it seem hopeless, Matthew? Well, to the untrained eye, one could be forgiven for thinking that. But then, the legacy of our spiritual exemplar, the one we call Jesus, was one full of random twists and turns. It would look like it was damned near impossible to square that circle. Like it looks for us right now, the scientist said. Yes, and until you and Thomas showed up, it looks like we would have died that day. But we didn't. Because you did show up. And, I would presume, it's because you haven't given up? No, the scientist said with a general chuckle, or with a cynical chuckle. Please continue, my friend. Well, like I was saying, the history of the line of our exemplar looked like a jumbled mess. From several of his ancestors breaking some of the core tenets of our faith, to Ahithophel's false counsel which led to King David's survival, all of it, every last bit of it, led to the conclusion that was both foreseen and necessary, and, I dare say, desired. Why do you dare say that? Isn't the final end of your good book eternal salvation to the faithful? Yes, it is, but the scientist listened intently, trying to put seemingly contradictory viewpoints together. But what? But even one of Jesus' closest followers, who he loved, would betray him. And he told us in no uncertain terms that it would happen. Are you talking about Judas? Yes, Matthew said with a heavy heart, though none of it really makes sense in that light. It would make you think we don't have a choice in the matter, but somehow we do. Jesus told us Judas's betrayal was necessary. It squares from the fact that all of us are also or are absolute sinners. But at least until now, we couldn't figure the will part. He then he looked the scientist in the eyes with an optimistic smile and continued, "But God works in mysterious ways, and it is said that he is not bound by time. I think the answers to these questions might lie with you." "Do you trust me?" asked the scientist. Matthew gave a sly look and said, "Jesus trusted Judas to do what he was destined to do." And I think that's where I'll leave it for today. Hope you enjoyed that portion.